Okay, so for this vlog, I'm going to talk about a discussion that we had in class. I recorded it, but I'm going to just play the voice recording and talk about some of the feelings that I had about this, and some of the major points that we discussed about characterisation and some of the questions that we raised.
Okay, so what about Alice? Like from?
This is how we distinguished the characters as well. So we're talking about how we distinguish Alice, and then some of the changes that we're going to make.
I think she should fit. What I was holding my hand up a bit.
Talking about obviously mannerisms that we used, certain characteristics.
Like make sure like she did.
Yeah, I think I get the impression that
I was straight a bit of a perfectionist.
Would you say that
So we got certain ideas that she was a perfectionist, had OCD, that had obviously built from what we'd read in the script, but a lot of like the Brecht style techniques, because we had to over exaggerate the roles because we were doing multi-role.
she is the more dominant one, like
Talking about status now.
status between Brian and her, or would you say it's Brian?
She's more controlling, but I'm not sure
I
she's
feel like
the
it
one
changes
with
to
the
the
power.
entire thing anyway.
I
It's
don't.
different
The
to
action of her leaving, in my bit though, makes it seem like the only way that she can gain dominance is by like having a big action.
Okay, so that's to do with like status control, women empowerment, because she was a political playwright, Carol Churchill. So that feminist aspect to it is what rose that question
Okay.
that we discussed
So I
about.
feel like she has a struggle with trying to gain
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
she can get it easily.
that. Okay. That just depends on the time that we're playing her, I guess.
Basic.
So that was dependent on the different, and when I said that I meant the different scenes that were happening. So obviously there were different personalities being shown there, different circumstances played out, so in terms of that, that would be different characteristics shown by her.
Glasses.
I feel like when you read, I think they're her like reading glasses. That's why I've been playing it. So when she goes over that, I put them up, and then because when the kids are going.
So that's us talking about the significance of the glasses in Maisie's character. We don't just want them to be a useless prop, because Brecht had a use for every single prop that he used.
I put them down. She's going.
Oh, the Amanda is not quite there, like as in.
I think she's just a bit old and a
She
bit
always,
special.
she always picks up on the little things that she like when it's about the diet. But the one thing about diets,
Yeah, we found that she was quite a unique character in the way, compared especially to the other two, because they were all supposed to be the same age, but like her impression was that she was like quite old and like probably a bit more out of it than the other two.
she was
Yeah.
little
I
things.
think she's just used to Alice and Brian bickering
Yeah.
all the time,
She, like,
so
zones
she
out all
kind
the
of
time.
zones it out.
And then we talk a lot more about the relationship between the three characters, how it's like a family, so they're used to each other being the way that they are. And we wanted to look more into something we hadn't really looked about, their relationship, their dynamic in that.
on her own thing, and then when she can interject to kind of lower the tension.
Could she take the book over there and then like interject when she can?
So talk more about like
Cause she,
physical changes that we could do, and then the discussion and the thoughts behind it as well, that Hannah is saying just then.
and she walks over. She's got it here. She's focused on the water.
She's fine with the contact because she's
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe make a plan with those.
Go to the library. I'll go to the library.
It can just feel like Australian.
I feel like we might make it might be good to make it more obvious that Maisie is Vicky's sister. Because
She's
it's not
Brian's
obvious that she's
sister.
part of the family. She's Brian's sister.
She's Brian. I think
Because
Brian
she's
should refer to her. No, Brian and Alice are married. Maisie is Brian's sister. They're all about 60.
Yeah, so
That
they're
makes me
obviously
that
in like the stage direction it said that they were all 60, but we get the impression that Maisie is a bit older, or just a bit less normal, if you like. She's interested in other sort of things, and you obviously from the off you can tell she's not as close to Susie.
She feels like she's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So we're
maybe then
all.
when every time
That's
Maisie's talking, maybe I don't know, she looks at Brian or engages with Brian more than she does with Alice.
Yeah.
I think Brian would probably be a bit more like, oh, we should go get my sister.
So about that dynamic as well, she was more comfortable with Brian. We want to make that more obvious to an audience, probably because that would be Churchill's intentions. Well, we felt anyway.
Alice being more polite in that sense. So when
And the contrast to Alice's and Brian's reactions, Brian would be a lot more fed up, Alice would be a lot more polite, like Hannah said. So trying to get that characterisation across, but remembering that these characters have got to interact, and every time you change, you become the different character that's got to interact with the other characters, whilst Alice is still trying to do this sort of power control, we felt, as a woman.
yeah, when she's done all about my dad still like accepts what Anna says and smiles. He doesn't listen. But he just nods. So I feel like if Alice pays attention, but she's not really paying attention to the Platypus thing.
She's a bit too OCD.
And then Brian's just like, what?
Yeah. Brian could be the
Sure.
one instigating most of the like, oh my god.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I need to listen to both of you. It's okay, this is fine.
Okay.
And yeah, Lewis, and you two play Lewis. So it's been a discussion.
So Lewis isn't one of the main characters, but he has a lot to add when it comes to the characterisation of Brian and Alice, because of the way they interact, the way that they treat him. They're obviously disappointed in him. He's not one of their like ideal child. They don't really show a lot of love to him or are proud of him in any way.
He's the embodiment of I suppose the effect of her.
And this is what the people who play Izzy and Marlon, the people who play Lewis, are talking about now.
And Nicole's really slow. He's just soft steps.
All this tension and stuff that's been building between them has showed itself and had the effect on him.
And especially if they pay more attention to Susie.
Yeah.
Because
He's
Look at
the
it all the
favourite
time.
child.
So about how Susie is the favourite.
It's like, and then Susan Lewis comes in and it's like, wait, you realise there's a second child. It just shows how much they really care about him.
Yeah. So maybe they should take less notice of him, even when he comes in, just like, oh.
I feel like, I mean,
They've given up on him.
yeah, at this
Maybe
point it's
they're
kind of
like,
like,
oh, you're an alcoholic,
Get,
you
yeah,
don't support that, so go away.
Okay.
Maybe.
get a life.
I don't know if he's neglected so much, but I think that
Not that.
no. I think that he's seen as a little bit of a failure to the family because his older sister's off in Australia and like having a nice time or whatever, and then he comes back, and the way that Brian talks to him, it feels like Brian does care, but not. It's more of like a frustrated, like, God damn it, got drunk again. No, we
Catherine raises an interesting point.
yeah, but he's trying to do it to get attention, a bit like attention.
Have any of you seen Spectacles?
That's just me making a reference to the character Eric, who shares a similarity with his father in the relationship, so we could sort of take ideas from that.
Yeah, it was from
No.
work.
Yeah,
Any
kind
other-
of being that like,
I agree.
I feel like there should be more movement.
I
This is
agree
talking more
that.
about like physical things that we could change. So obviously, because it's quite static at the minute, so there's only us just still figuring bits
It
out.
was difficult to do that because we were trying to get the thing fluid, but I think we can explore that.
If we try and learn like the first half of the script, like Thursday, we'll be able to play more about
Okay, do you want to try and do it again? We could.
Yeah, so that was our discussion and our ideas so far.